Shalom, Kal Halam La, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Haracha'a Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and sincerity. They steered us well and they rule well. Salutations to the hopeful elect. May the blessing of election be upon your house. This is the brother Zion Amawan coming at you with another lesson to feed the lambs to the Holy Spirit. Haracha'a Kodash. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. All right. In this lesson, we're going to get into 47 officials warn another 9/11 coming soon, urge Americans to prepare now. See, what you're going to see in the elder apostles all the way on down to ourselves, we have been preaching and prophesying that all hell is going to break loose. All right, this could in fact be that. Things are not going to be normal after this so-called attack that they are trying to warn you about. All right. But what about the prophets? We have been warning you, we have been sounding that trumpet, in the ancient world, there was different trumpet sounds. Some trumpet sounds would gather people. Some of the trumpet sounds would be signs of war. And this is that trumpet that, we have been sounding off, that is imminent, war and all hell breaking loose is imminent, and they're going to issue in the whole martial law. The digital ID infrastructure is already set in place. All right, the digital ID wallet for Apple Pay is official and it is set up. All right, ready to be used. The only thing that they are gonna tell you is when you can't use paper money no more and you gotta use that grain of rice. Otherwise, you're gonna be ostracized out of society, man. Let's read a couple of paragraphs and then we'll get some scriptures. Trump administration are sounding the alarm over the biggest national security vulnerability this country's ever seen, warning Americans to prepare now for a possible large-scale attack like 9/11. On Monday, border czar Tom Homan expressed deep concern during an appearance on Fox News, stating he is convinced that the United States is on the brink of a major T event that scares the hell out of him, one he attributes directly to President Biden's immigration and border policies. It was like Title 42 or 41, I think, that President Biden signed, which is going to open up all the borders and bringing everyone in without paperwork, things of that nature, that wall, that so-called wall that they was building up, it was made out of reinforced steel, and they was selling it. They was literally tearing it down and just selling it as scrap metal, to the point where you can just literally walk over, and you don't get questioned, anything of that nature. So anybody can be over. Sleeper cells is over. They already over here, and they're trying to claim that the ICE, that they are, apprehending a lot of people and they're cleaning up. Like, no, they're not. There's still hundreds of thousands of them, if not millions, of so-called T's, and these sleeper cells are going to get activated. They're just waiting on a phone call. There's only one call, and then everybody's life is going to change, you know? And you can feel it in the air. You just know that it's imminent, you know? It's coming, Homan said, referring to the likelihood of an attack carried out by individuals who entered the country illegally through the southern border. He pointed specifically to the estimated 2 million gotaways, migrants who evaded capture by Border Patrol, as a critical national security threat, surpassing even the ongoing crises of drug and human trafficking. These 2 million known gotaways scare the hell out of me, Homan said, adding that he fears some could be teased. I am convinced something's coming unless we can find them, he warned. And, you know, they're all hired, you know. See, a lot of these sleeper cells are agents, all right, in their own country, and they come over here and they're going to carry out tasks from their government, all right. It can be disrupting the water system. It can be disrupting uh, the energy companies, all right. It's going to be disruption. They can be, you know, or man, they can just all out delete people, man. You know, these sleeper cells, man, you don't know what they're on. You know, that's why they're a sleeper cell, because their directions and tasks is going to come from their leaders. You know, so this whole T attack could, in fact, be a sleeper cell attack. We don't know. We will find out though. All right. Well, let's get into some scriptures. I have the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15 from the top. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord. And this is what we've been preaching, all right, in season, out of season, from the elder apostles all the way on down to ourselves, man. Speaking the words of prophecy, what's going to happen before it happens, all right? And this is going into the major prophecy, the MOTB being mandated, all right, which is the Charagma, all right? We have been prophesying that from the elder apostles all the way on down to ourselves, man. And as you can see, there is a digital infrastructure. And as you can see, there is, in fact, a C-HIP, all right? There is, in fact, a C-HIP that they are going to use as a form of IDing you and you know what I'm saying, for like digital transactions, things of that nature. But they're going to really roll out the MOTB, and they're going to use this whole migrant gotaway thing to like, yo, we have to identify everyone. We don't know who is who. We need your credentials. And with this, we can be able to we'll be able to identify who we need to identify. All right. They're going to use that. They can use it. I'm not saying that they're going to use that, but it's not far-fetched. It's something that they would use as far as issuing in the MOTB, as far as identifying people, because they don't know who is who, you know? So if you get this thing, all right, this grain of rice in your hand or wherever you want the thing at, all right, if you get that grain of rice, you are identified, and you can buy, you can sell, you can partake in the activities in this society, you know. But if not, you're going to be ostracized, and you're going to be in a detention camp. You might get deported. Who knows? You know, the Northern Kingdom gets it first. Judah and the Southern Kingdom gets it worse, man. Elder Malcolm always says that, man. The northern kingdom gets it first. Judah, the southern kingdom, gets it worse. All right? So they're going to be coming after you. All right? Southern kingdom, you know? I'm telling you, you've been living in Babylon your whole life and they going to try to deport you. You know, because, you know what I'm saying, you don't follow after the ways of this place, or you deny that grain of rice. You know? But, you know, moving on, it say, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. All right? And these scriptures is peeling off of the page. All right? You are seeing the precepts. You know why they were written. All right? We are like currently living in 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, in the beginning stages of it. All right? And it's going to, you know, in each verse is going to manifest all the way down to martial law. You know? Because, you know what I'm saying, when all hell break loose and these T attacks start to happen, you think they're just going to let everything roll? Like, no. Everybody is going to be at a standstill, man. All right? You ain't going to be able to do nothing. All right? Let's go to 2nd Ezra 15 and verse 15. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. All right? So you're going to have a lot of people, all right, that's going to be frustrated, perplexed. They ain't going to have no way out, nowhere to go. And what they going to do? They're going to have that dog-eat-dog type of spirit, you know? And they're going to use the gun, because the sword is the gun, man. All right? First one draw, later law. You know? At this time, you won't be able to call the police. You won't be able to call, you know, 911 and all this other type of things. You know, these programs or whatever for like help from law enforcement and everything. All that's going to be suspended, man. It's going to be like that Purge movie, you know? It was just gunplay all day, you know? For there shall be sedition among men, right? Uproars, you know? Government ain't helping nobody. They ain't, you know, they just leave you out there to die. People going to be pissed off, man. You know? They're going to be mad at the policies and mad at this, mad at that, you know? So what they going to do? They're going to put the law in their hand. It's going to be complete anarchy, you know? Completely, you know? They're going to put the law in their hand. And, you know, and that law that they're going to be carrying around is that gun, man. And they're going to get a lot of stuff with that gun. They're going to kill for it. They're going to snake you out for it. Whatever you got. You know? For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes. Right? They ain't going to give a damn. They ain't going to care about the local officials or the government officials. They ain't going to care about the laws and all that. They're going to be blowing red lights at everything. I'm talking about going 100 past a red light, not giving a fuck. You know? And then crash and hit a pole. You see some fires that just started over here. And then all of a sudden you see somebody in the alley getting mugged. And then you see about 15 people shooting directly in front of each other. It's going to be crazy, man. It's going to be crazy. And you're going to see some random guy getting drunk by himself while all hell breaking loose. Just sitting in a corner some fucking where. You know? This is a time that we have never seen. You know, your neighbors that you would fellowship with and borrow things from. That's probably gonna be the one in your house, or you may have to defend your things, or you know. See, a lot of these people during the time of Jacob's trouble, they not gonna stop until they die. So you can't be playing in that day, man, because they not gonna play with you. And you know what I'm saying, from what we reading, the people not gonna be playing. They gonna have a real extra strong rebellious spirit on them. It's gonna be amplified during the time of Jacob's trouble. Like they're gonna be even more rebellious, like to the point where that's the spirit. They're gonna be even more rebellious. You know? And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Right. First one draw, lay the law. You know? They're not gonna ask for things in that day. They're gonna be taking shit. You know? They're gonna have that get down, lay down spirit. For their pride, Salakia, verse 17, a man shall desire to go in the city and shall not be able, you know? So all these T attacks and all of that, all hell breaking loose, because mind you, these T attacks, when that happen, it's gonna incite the people, and the people is gonna be on the ziggity boom out there in these streets, especially in these big cities, man. You know? Especially in these big cities. For because of a man shall desire to go in a city and shall not be able. They're gonna have to shut it down. They're gonna have to shut it down, man. And you're gonna have certain credentials to even leave from the perimeter of your vicinity, man, wherever you at. You know? You're gonna have credentials to go to a different city. There will be military checkpoints, probably at the end of your block. You know? Just saying. Probably at the end of your block. And then that's going to lead into you having to get the digital all right? That thing to where you can really be identified. And then you can travel wherever, you can do what you want to do until they, put you in a smart city detention center, you know, and or to the Lord zap them, you know, because they're gonna get fire and brimstone when they take this MOTB. They are gonna get fire and brimstone, you know, because they have chosen their allegiance. They have chosen that badge of servitude. They have chosen that they worship Esau Edom, you know. But Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give infinite honors, praises, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect. We on the next one. Abaratazah. Shalom.